Pressure continues to be normal.
Our chamber pressure looks good.
Doubling up. Roger roll, Atlantis.
Water towers can fly! Yes!
Tango Delta nominal.
Flight outside SE off. Bring in SE off.
Yikes. You bet. Concur. We don't need any more of these.
Yikes, you bet concur. Welcome to another NSF live stream. I'm Jack Beyer, content manager for NSF, and I will be your host today for a Falcon 9 launch out of SLC-40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, carrying SES-18 and 19, a couple of commercial communications satellites. But of course, it's not just going to be me talking on the stream today. I am joined, as always, by our ever-competent cohort of commentators, including, of course, Mr. Ian the Pineapple Atkinson. Ian, what's up?
Oh, I'm doing very great, and thank you for using my full name, Jack. Ian the Pineapple Atkinson, as on my birth certificate. But I'm doing great out here. Excited to see another Falcon 9 launch tonight.
This Falcon 9 looks really, really close. Like, kind of insanely close.
Yeah.
Thomas, the other person we're going to have on stream, news director for NASASpaceflight. Thomas, what's going on here? Why is so close?
I can assure you that we were escorted here by all of the proper authorities. Yes, shout out to Space Launch Delta 45 for, again, offering on-base media access for tonight's launch. We are actually coming to you from Loop Road, which doesn't mean much to people who haven't been to Cape Canaveral before, but we're about 2.1 miles away from the pad at Space Launch Complex 40, so a little closer than we normally get. We've got a pretty good view for tonight's launch, and that launch is tracking on time so far to our 7:38 p.m. Eastern Time for a pair of SES communication satellites to head towards geostationary transfer orbit on the second Falcon 9 launch of the day. Should be a great night to go to space.
Yeah, remember when double headers were novel?
Yeah, now they're just like kind of the reg.
Yeah, now they're kind of just like a short story. Do you get it? Because novel, short story. Do you get it?
Oh,
Anyways.
Gosh.
Anyways, as usual, we are doing our usual thing here at NSF. If you have any questions, just tag at NASASpaceflight in chat. We'll see your question pop up in some software that Michael wrote, and we'll be able to answer your questions and sort of just tell you what's going on and follow along with the launch. There's a little bit of wind today. You can see the wiggle on the camera.
There is.
Look at the bushes. There's very clearly a very windy day out there. It's no worries. So just bear with us, audience, please, and thank you. And of course,
on that note, just
really
to mention,
quickly, Thomas,
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
should mention Kevin is in the background operating today's stream, and also out in the field with y'all is Michael Baylor, who will be operating an auto track camera. So thank you to both of them. All right, go ahead, Thomas.
Yeah, sorry. This is the auto track camera, by the way. So we're in the hands of auto track TM.
Whoa, is that a fairing?
Wait, where?
that is totally a fairing.
As a matter of fact, that is exactly what that is.
It's
There is
backing up.
So just to the left out of frame is the payload processing facility, and yes, that is a payload fairing being moved in the general vicinity. I can't tell if it's leaving or if they're just like moving it around, but yes, that's a payload fairing.
That is delightful.
But yeah, on the topic of winds, SpaceX did mention ahead of today's launch attempt that they are watching ground level winds for today's attempt. They did pull go for propeller loads, so it sounds like they're not expecting it to be an issue currently, but it's something to keep in the back of your head in case that comes up later. Definitely coming up in our camera views a little bit, but it is what it is. It gets windy out here. We're out in kind of the middle of nothing here in Florida, so wind gets around. But yeah, shout out to the cameo by the payload fairing.
Yeah, no worries on the
the,
wind. It's also super windy out here in Boca Chica today, and sometimes you just can't do anything but deal with the conditions you're given. I love that
Shielded it best I can, yeah.
I love that the truck driver is like occasionally getting out to eyeball his path. That's exactly what I do when I'm parallel parking.
I wonder if if the payload processing facility doesn't need to be evacuated anymore for a long.
Yeah. So what's going on with that? There was a recent shrinking of the blast danger area for Falcon 9, and that's why we're able to be so close. Is that what's going on?
Yeah, that's the word that's going around, and I don't know. Obviously, there's a lot of factors that go into what the exclusion zone for a launch is and stuff like that. So it's a case by case thing. As rockets become more reliable, the danger area does, generally speaking, shrink just because the associated risk does go down, and you just have better refinements of the modeling of how bad the sound is, how bad the vibrations are, things like that. And recently there have been, this is not the first time we've been out here. I know on a previous launch, Stephen Marr was out here just for photos. I think this is the first time recently we've been out here for a live video of Pad 40. But either way, I do believe that it is something to do with just them kind of refining that, and we're allowed to get closer without getting in the way of roadblocks and things. Don't quote me on that, but that's the rumor going around, basically.
We won't quote you on it, but we will broadcast your words live.
We will
to
broadcast it, and it'll be stuck on YouTube for the rest of eternity. Yes,
approximately 3,000 people. Yeah, no worries. Well, that's really cool. Will this be the closest you've ever been to a Falcon 9 launch?
To Falcon 9, probably. Yeah, this is about the same distance you can usually get to Wallops launches for Antares, which I've seen a couple times. You get a little closer there. So, similar to that, probably the closest for a Falcon 9, I would say so.
That's extraordinary.
Yeah, this is about a mile closer to Slick 40 than Thomas and I were last week at Pad 34. So that's very significant. And yeah. Nice little humble flex there, but that's a pretty significant increase, or a pretty significant, I guess, decrease in distance. But yeah,
super cool.
Going to be a lot louder and a lot brighter, and I cannot wait also to see the photos that come out of this.
Going to be excellent. All right, really quickly, John Freund, thank you for the support, becoming a Pad Rat member. Musical Wolves, thanks for the support there. They're saying, how likely will jellyfish effect happen? I don't think very likely. Is that correct?
Yeah, so the top of the window that is being targeted at 7:38 is like 5 minutes after sunset or something, which is a little close. So if I had to guess, pretty unlikely. You might get a faint bit of kind of lighting up of the exhaust when it gets up there, but nothing to the full jellyfish effect, I wouldn't think.
Alrighty then. Well, hopefully we'll have to. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say hope for a delay. But yeah, maybe we'll see some cool plume interaction in the twilight sky. Good question there from Musical Wolves. Dougal, thanks for gifting 5 Red Team memberships. Really appreciate that. And Nikki the Nozzle gifting a Red Team membership. Also, Jim Cavett gifting a Red Team membership. And Ralph Chilton gifting a Red Team membership. We got a whole gift train going here. Thank you, everybody, so much. Thanks to Dougal for starting out the train there. All right. Who wants to give us a quick mission overview of what SES-18 and 19 are doing? There's like some C-band nonsense going on, right?
Yeah, there sure is. If Chris G was on this broadcast, I believe he called it great C-band clearing of 2022 and 2030, however long this has been going on. But yeah, so this is part of SES, a common satellite provider I'm sure you've heard of before. If you've watched any of our streams, it is a Luxembourg-based satellite operator. The 2 satellites on board today are built by Northrop Grumman, and they are communication satellites that will be actually operating in the C-band, which sounds weird, but hear me out. So the C-band of frequencies has been mostly being cleared, and so that it can be used for 5G communications, terrestrial communications here on Earth. However, that doesn't cover the entire C-band, and these satellites specifically are being used to basically increase SES's capability in the part of the C-band that is not being cleared, so that existing customers can continue using their communications capabilities without changing their equipment and things like that. So these are actually C-band satellites that are part of SES transitioning some of their communications capabilities outside of that band, and then bolstering the part of C-band that they can still use, to summarize that. So 2 satellites on board, both headed to geostationary transfer orbit. Falcon 9's upper stage will do 1 burn to reach an initial parking orbit, and then a second burn to head towards the transfer orbit before deploying one and then the other of the satellites, 18 and 19. This is very similar to 2 other SES satellites, I believe they were 20 and 21, that launched on a ULA Atlas V rocket. Those satellites were built by Boeing and launched on Atlas V last year. And just like this, in a dual manifest configuration where one's stacked right on top of the other. We have more details on exactly what these satellites have on board and the whole C-band nonsense, as you say, in our launch article, which is live on NASASpaceflight.com. But there is the overview of what's on board today's flight.
Cool deal. Really quickly, Alan C. gifting another Red Team membership. Thank you so much, Alan. And William Contino with a healthy amount of support there. Thank you so much, William. If you guys don't know what the membership program is, it's a sweet thing that we have through YouTube where you can sign up to be a member. It's a monthly amount of support that you can choose to give to us. There's different levels of support, and the different levels of support have different names. There's like Red Team, PadRat, Capcom, Flight Engineer, and Launch Director. The different levels, you get different perks, and at Capcom level and above, you get Discord access to our NASASpaceflight Discord, which is a super cool place. But you get all kinds of cool perks no matter what level you come in at, and we super appreciate all of our members because we could not do what we do without y'all. So thank you so much, members. Really appreciate you supporting our channel. All right, so if you check out that nifty new countdown timeline that we have going, we are in LOX load for stage 1. Let's see. How about we do some questions? Ian, what do you say?
Sounds good to me. I got a few queued up here already for us.
Oh, if you have one that piques your interest, go for it, and I'm going to add a couple more to the queue in the meantime.
Sounds good. We have one here from Joshua asking, is this a one-time only launch or an instantaneous launch window, or is there an actual launch window? So yes, like most GTO, geostationary transfer orbit launches, this does have a launch window. Now, a lot of the other GTO launches will have like a 1.5 to 2.5 hour launch window. However, this one's a little bit shorter at around 30 minutes in length. But yes, there is a launch window giving SpaceX a little bit of buffer time in case they need to hold for weather or for a vehicle issue. They have that capability. However, given that Falcon 9 is now into liquid oxygen loading, there is no opportunity for a scrub or a hold tonight. So they did have a little bit of buffer space, but it seems that they're confident with the weather, which is the current issue that they've been tracking throughout the day. They seem confident enough in that to go ahead for a launch opportunity at the top of the window. And again, that window will open in a little over 25 minutes from now, and it extends until about 8:16 p.m. Eastern Time.
Excellent. Let's see here. I am seeing some questions in chat about why we did not stream the Starlink launch earlier today from Vandenberg. Well, for one,
I can take that back if you want.
Well, I mean, just for one, I'm here in Boca Chica, and Michael is in Florida with AutoTrack, so personnel's a little bit spread out. But even if we were in California right now, Space Launch Delta 30 and Vandenberg Space Force Base and SpaceX do not really credential for Starlink launches out of Vandy. So I don't know. Go ahead, Thomas.
No, yeah, the big preface is basically that the Vandenberg Public Affairs have not been providing media access for Starlink missions, so we are not able to provide live coverage of those launches. Working on trying to find other ways around that, but for now, we can cover the ones here at Cape Canaveral just fine, and Vandenberg media access seems currently limited to customer missions. We'll always keep you all updated if that changes, but that's the sitch.
Yeah, a little bit painful given that it was a nice blue, clear day at Vandenberg. It's like, oh, come on. But it is what it is. Let's see. Let's do some more questions.
I got a good one right here. Oh, unless you have one, Jack.
No, go for it.
So I got a question from Cooper Foster asking, what is the purpose of the T-minus 20 minute and T-minus 1 minute 30 second vents? So those are some really good questions. However, those two vents are very, very different. So the T-minus 20 minute vent, which we're going to see in just over 3 minutes at T-minus 20 minutes, that signifies that RP1 loading or kerosene loading on the second stage is complete, and they're transitioning the propellant lines over to carry liquid oxygen. The T-minus 20 minute vent is basically them just cleaning out those lines, getting any oxygen out of there, and getting it ready to transition from RP1 loading to liquid oxygen loading. Now the T-minus 1 minute and 30 second vent is when they start to just completely clear out the transporter erector, get any propellants out of it ahead of launch, because when you launch a rocket, you don't want to have any, flammable things nearby, especially on something you don't want to damage like the transporter erector. So the T-minus 1 minute 30 vent is when they just purge all the gases, all the propellants out of the transporter erector to get it completely safe and inert, so it won't pose any danger to the vehicle lifting off.
Let's see here. Another question regarding Vandenberg, just for funsies. Shiva is asking, how do they get the booster back to Vandenberg after returning to Long Beach on a drone ship? They flip it horizontal, put it on a different barge, and barge them back to Vandenberg. That is something we've seen. It's a relatively recent development, so that's kind of a nifty fun fact there. It's a barge. They use a barge.
SpaceX seems to like barges for moving things around.
Yeah, I mean, it's, marine assets. Who knew? They're good.
Yeah.
Take that, Peter Beck. James is asking what booster is launching today. Ian?
I was actually just about to take that question, Jack, so thank you. So the booster you're looking at on your screen right now is booster 1069-6. Now, -6 at the end means, of course, it's doing its 6th flight. Now, for its 6th flight, it had a 43-day turnaround. So that was a time from the last mission through refurbishment and now back to the pad. So 43-day turnaround, about average for a SpaceX turnaround, nothing too remarkable there. But yeah, so it's making its 6th flight today. It last flew on Starlink Group 5-3. And yeah, that's booster 1069 there on your screen.
Nice.
Oh, thanks, Jack.
Travis is asking, does the soot that accumulates on the booster add any appreciable weight or drag to a booster on subsequent launches?
No.
Cool. Moving on. I joke, but we do get that question a lot, and no, it is negligible. But
Yeah.
Good answer there. Thank you, Thomas.
We have speculated. I mean, we have 2 boosters that are up to 15 flights now. It is possible that over time, eventually, it's going to become something that they at least want to consider. And I'm sure that as they get to the new fleet leaders, they keep checking to make sure this isn't building up and causing issues. But everything we've heard so far, based on early findings from their reuse program, was that the amount of mass that adds, or the change in the aerodynamics, is negligible. Keep in mind that the rocket also forms a bunch of ice on the outside when it fuels, or propellants, I should say, which gets kind of shaken off during launch and gradually falls off. Through all that, that's almost pretty negligible too across all rockets. The fact is that rockets are much heavier than the stuff that accumulates on the outside of them.
Indeed.
And
There we
before I
go.
stop,
Yeah,
I should point out the T-minus 20-minute vent, because it's in our contract to say that, of course. There is that 20-minute vent indicating that we are on track in the propel load sequence.
Very cool. Falcon 9 showing off that it vapes.
And you could see there the wind carrying away the big vent there. Usually, if it wasn't a windy day, you'd get the vent would the oxygen coming out of the vent would just fall straight to the ground. But you could see there's a lot of wind out there today. That's what SpaceX has been watching in terms of weather over the past few hours. Ultimately, they gave it a go for launch, but you can see how it is quite windy out there in Florida today, including the camera shaking a little bit here and there.
Yep, sometimes the wind do be blowing, such as today. Anonymous, thank you so much for the support and grabbing something from the store. What did they get? Oh, they got a hoodie. Thank you so much, Anonymous.
Always
There's
nice to
another
have a hoodie.
way you can support what we do as well, and that is tips.nasaspaceflight.com. It's a new way that we've recently added to support what we do. It's basically the same thing as a super chat or any other way that you can support us. It's just a new way to do it, giving you guys another option. You can select an amount, custom, or just one of the preset ones. You can type in your name if you so desire. It's optional. There we go. I thought I was going to say Jack's Bacon, but that works too. But yeah, you can add a message. You can add your name. That is, of course, optional. But it shows up in our software in the same way that Super Chats and everything else does. So we can shout it out. And thank you for the support. So that is another way you can support what we do. Tips.nasaspaceflight.com. Let's see. Speaking of support, as Falcon 9 continues to vent away, clearing the prop lines for the first stage there, Josh Brown, thank you for becoming a Capcom member. Once again, Josh Brown, you get Discord access with that level of support, so pop into Discord and say hey. Donald Smith becoming a PadRat member, thank you, Donald. And Greg, thank you for the support. They say, what's going on with the Starlink V2 satellites? I saw that their orbits were decaying. Who wants to take this hot potato?
That is a very hot potato. So it's a very simple answer to that. We really don't know. It seems like some of them are actively deorbiting. Seems that some of them are passively deorbiting, where they have stopped station keeping in their about 370 kilometer orbit, I believe they're in right now. So yeah, it seems that either something has failed on board all the satellites, or there was just some, or perhaps SpaceX has just said, "Hey, we're having a ton of problems with this," or they've even they've completed all their testing that they can get out of them, and they decided to deorbit them. Either way, it seems that the satellites have, for whatever reason, stopped orbit raising, or at least orbit maintaining, and are now passively deorbiting due to the minimal amounts of drag at the top of Earth's atmosphere where they are right now. But yeah, we really don't have any information from SpaceX, and it might be a little while till we learn exactly what happened there.
Turns on notifications for Jonathan McDowell's Twitter.
Oh, if you guys aren't following Jonathan McDowell on Twitter, you are missing out big time. He is amazing.
He's one of my favorite accounts.
Absolutely.
Let's see here. Good question, though, from Greg. Let's see. JC Davis saying, not necessarily on topic, but what was the inspiration for the intro music? I don't know if you call it inspiration, but essentially I went through a whole bunch of music and decided on that track to fit as our intro. That's just sort of how it worked out. Kind of like when you're editing something, you put the clips in the timeline and you play with them, and then you add a music track and you decide if it works or not, and it's very not logical. It's kind of very subjective, and that's just the one I landed on. And of course, I sent it to the group, and everyone thought it was a good track, so that's what we went with. It's hard because I kind of want to do a new song, like freshen things up, but it's gonna be a hard one to do better than. So I think it's probably gonna be our song for quite a while. But anyways, let's get back on topic here. Nico is asking, is this the closest, nearest, or shortest time between two SpaceX launches? Thomas, do you want to take that one?
I can certainly stall long enough for someone in our back channel to know this for absolute certain.
Yes, the answer is yes.
It's true. Okay, I believe the answer is yes. Yes, this does break the record again for those who may just be tuning in. There was a previous Starlink mission earlier in the day from Vandenberg, so that's the turnaround record just between two launches overall. That turnaround just a little over 4 hours and 12 minutes between the two launches. So pretty short turnaround. Again, that's from SpaceX overall. It's different from the turnaround records we've talked about for like a specific launch pad or a specific booster flying again, stuff like that. But yes, that is the record being set, assuming the launch goes as planned.
Yeah, it is. This will be, assuming it goes as planned, 4 hours and 12 minutes between launches. The previous record was 7 hours and 10 minutes between launches, and that was, as you said, between Crew 5 and Starlink 4-29.
We do have someone pointing out that SN10 did launch twice in the same hour, but I'm not sure that counts. Quality jokes.
Oh, that took a second for me to get.
It was a good one. It's a real good one. Allison P, thanks for the support. They say, been watching you guys since 2020. Thanks so much for all the content and explaining everything to us. I'm so excited for a Starship orbital flight. You and everybody else, Allison, cannot wait. Thank you so much for the support and for watching for quite a long time there. Musical Wolves, thank you so much for the support. They say, has Falcon 9 never launched bacon anywhere to the ISS, maybe? I assume to the ISS. We've talked about this one a lot. There is bacon on the ISS, so it would make sense that Falcon 9...
I missed that. We established that bacon has been to the ISS. That's amazing.
I thought we had. I could be wrong.
I mean, I guess I'd be surprised if not, but that's amazing.
I'd love to see the commercial resupply services, the breakdown of cargo. If Jack ever goes to the ISS, it'll be like 2.5 tons of like crew supplies, 1.5 tons of experiments, 0.5 tons of bacon.
That's not enough. It's not enough bacon.
It's just for like a week, yeah.
Let's see. Ferguson of the United Federation of Moons, thanks for becoming a Padrat member. Jim Cavett, thanks for the support. That's a $5 tip there, using that new tip program we talked about a few minutes ago. Sean O, thanks for the support. They say SpaceX has successfully landed 179 times as of today's earlier mission. Any idea how many individual rockets have been used to reach that milestone? Thank you for the great content. I do not know. I mean, what is the highest serial number of Falcon 9 that we are aware of? Is it like 1080 something?
I think 1080 is the one on the test stand down at McGregor.
Yeah, so Alex on our back channel is saying 76 unique boosters. So that's quite a stat. 179 landings
Yeah.
with 76 unique boosters, and of course they don't attempt a landing with every launch, but there you go. Daniel, thanks for grabbing something from the store. They say send it. I wonder if they're talking about the rocket or their merch. Like they want their merch to be sent. Thank you though for grabbing that. Methane Man, thank you for the $20 tip. Really appreciate that. A lot of people using the new tip system. Thanks for that. Aaron Crawford, thanks for the support. They say, I just want you to thank you guys for the constant inspiration. I wanted to let you know I'm going to college in August for aerospace engineering. So thank you guys for the constant inspiration. Well, thank you, Aaron, for the kind words, and good luck with your schooling.
Yeah, best of luck,
Best
Aaron.
of luck, Aaron.
Study hard.
Both of you, well, Thomas has graduated a while ago, but still, both of you have relevant experience for the good luck there that you are giving. Like I detect a twinge of I don't know, some sort of emotion in the good lucks from both of you.
Well, if it implies anything, I turned in my homework 5 minutes before the due date, literally before the stream. So
Yeah, that sounds like you did it 5 minutes early. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you,
no,
Thomas.
exactly. Yeah, I'm like, hey, I had 5 minutes of margin. Anyway,
it's an instantaneous turn-in window. Donald O'Connor, wow, becoming a flight engineer. Thank you so much, Donald. That's one of our higher levels of support there. Thank you so much. We hope you enjoy all the perks that you're getting, and just know that we are taking every little bit of support we get from all of you on this stream to turn around and do everything we do, but even better, and add new things, and just keep on keeping on. So thank you so much. Quipkey, thanks for the support, becoming a Padre member. Mini DRM, thank you so much. To annoy Jack, know about. I have no idea. I can't parse this, so I'm just gonna move on.
Jack know about Chia? I don't know what that means.
I can't. Anyways,
like Chia pets?
I do know about those. Plutonium 239. Thank you for the support. They say, when do you think Starship will launch, this month or next month? I'm going to go with sometime in May. But, Elon on Twitter saying April. All right, we got 10 minutes to go. 10 minutes to go. You know where you can go, though, to get some sweet merch and support us in another way.
Wow.
You can go to shop.nasaspaceflight.com and grab yourself some metal prints. We have metal prints of all the various types of rockets. We have prints of Starship. We have prints of Falcon 9, of course. And we have metal prints of other rockets, too, non-SpaceX things. So there's Full Stack Starship. There's a Rocket Garden. There's SLS. There's Falcon Heavy. There's all sorts of cool stuff. So if you want to print, check it out. They're printed directly on metal. They don't need a frame or anything, and they're like super easy to hang on the wall. They come with like mounting hardware, so they look great. They're really easy to hang. You know all the things. Check out the metal prints. We would really appreciate if you pick one up from the store. It's a great way to support us and the photographer that took the print, who gets a little slice of the pie there when you buy a print from whoever took that photo. So really nifty. All right. I'm sorry for the segue there. That was a groaner, but it was what it was.
Listen, sometimes you just got to get it done, Jake. I respect it.
It got to the point where I had to do the thing, and I was like, well, how do I segue into it? And that was the result. So thanks for dealing with that.
Or you could have been like, in 10 minutes, this launch will be pretty metal. If you want some metal.
Nice. Ian gunning for my job here.
We're going to have to make sure we do that for Delta 4 Heavy.
Yes.
Ooh, yes.
I'm sad there's only 2 of those left. Anyways, 8.5 minutes to go, roughly. Harm, thank you for the support. Grabbing something from the store. They say, thanks for your service and info. Oh, look, and there's Just Read the Instructions, downrange, waiting to receive its Falcon 9 booster.
Very cool.
Let's see. Harrison is asking if 2 second stages were attached and facing each other and both lit off their engines at the same time in orbit, what would happen? Somebody's been playing Kerbal Space Program. I mean, nothing would happen. They would null each other out, right?
Yeah, nothing would happen. You'd just be wasting a lot of propellant.
Let's see here. Yep. I mean, yeah. Yes, it would be a waste of that's what would happen. You would waste
Yeah.
propellant.
Yep.
Maurice Walker is asking, do SpaceX customers have to pay extra if their payload or orbit doesn't allow the booster to return to launch site? Are RTLS launches cheaper for the customer?
I think maybe marginally. I don't know if we've ever been told that outright, but it's definitely a lot cheaper for SpaceX. So I would imagine that gets factored in when they calculate the launch price, what the recovery method will be. We know expendable missions are more expensive, so it would make sense for RTLS to be a little bit cheaper than joint ship recoveries.
Good stuff. Hiccup is asking, when do you think the crew tower at SLC-40 will be finished and will have its first dedicated mission?
The latest word from NASA was that the crew tower should be ready to support cargo missions by fall of this year. They're going to use that for just late cargo load first, and then crew missions potentially the next year. That was a pretty rough timeline, and that was a bit ago, so obviously we'll expect that to get adjusted as we get closer, but that was the latest official word from NASA.
Cool deal. And Falcon 9, I should mention, is beginning its engine chill. The engines are chilling down so that they are ready when they receive their cryogenic propellants in just about 6 minutes.
And if you want to look chill, head to shop.nasa. No.
Oh, that was a good one. Nick Quigley is saying, do you think with the storms to the west, there's any chance the launch will be held? We do know that they were watching weather before launch, but Thomas, do we know if everything is still green right now, or what's the status?
Yeah, everything seems fine. Weather to the west of here will not be a problem, assuming it just stays west of here until T0. The rocket's going to be flying east from Cape Canaveral, so it shouldn't be an issue. The areas they look at for weather is directly around the launch site, and then along the path that the rocket will take. Mostly at that point, you're just looking at upper level winds, unless it's a crew mission. Then you're looking at abort contingencies and things like that. But for a satellite launch, it's pretty straightforward. And anything to the west of Cape Canaveral will not be a factor because the rocket's going the other direction, so you're all good.
Cool deal. Wow, Matt Weaver gifting 10 Red Team memberships. Thank you so much, Matt. If you got a membership from Matt, be sure to thank them in chat. I did not intend to rhyme, but that's what happened this time. Caitlin Vokroth, thank you for the support there. They say, what is the flight path for the rocket? Will it be visible from the East Coast? What's our trajectory today? Are we going north? Are we going south? What's the deal?
So we're going east because this is a GTO mission. You can see the trajectory actually right up there. So with all GTO missions, you basically want to fly directly east because GTO and geostationary orbits have no inclination to the equator. And if you didn't fly directly east, you would just add inclination to your orbit, making it harder for your spacecraft to get to the proper geostationary orbit. So because of this, as you can see, they're flying directly east out of Cape Canaveral. Now, in terms of visibility, this will be visible for most of Florida, possibly into Georgia. The Bahamas will be able to see it. But other than that, it's not going to be as visible as, say, a Starlink launch or a CRS mission. This is absolutely not flying up the East Coast like those missions do.
Alrighty then. Just about 3 minutes and 45 seconds to go. And you can see there the position of Bob, which is one of the fairing recovery ships. And that is also where the drone ship, which is just read the instructions for this launch, will be roughly in that same area, ready to catch B-1069.
And you could see the strongback is beginning to retract. It's going to retract only a few degrees away from the rocket, just to get a little bit of separation before it rapidly throws back at liftoff. You can also see the rocket is almost fully loaded with propellants now. You could see a lot of condensation going up on both the first stage and the second stage, and some minor venting still from the vehicle. Now, as we get closer to T0, some of that venting is going to pause and then completely stop altogether right as we get up to T0. And that will indicate that the vehicle is being pressurized for flight and all is good. Just under T-minus 3 minutes right now.
Hooray!
Hooray.
S. Roger Bach, thank you for the support. They say, good luck on the launch. Happy St. Patrick's Day, Bacon Fan Club. Thank you for that, with a $17 tip there. Appreciate that. Indeed, happy St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, may the luck of the Irish be with them. I mean, they have the 4-leaf clover on every patch.
Indeed. Anonymous, thank you for grabbing something from the store. They say when yeet, in approximately 2.5 minutes. They got a hat. Thank you for that, Anonymous. And Doc Watson, thank you for the support there. They say, are the metal prints made using boron? Because we all know that boron is the fifth element. Look, Adrian is not on this. Adrian is not on this stream. You can chill on the fifth element stuff until such time that Adrian is on the stream.
Don't bully him behind his back. He's my friend.
Yeah. Well, I mean, bully him a little bit because it's like, how could you not have seen that movie? But anyways, I digress. Molten Lava Guy 93, interesting name. They say, is there any way to see the flight trajectory? Well, we just showed it to you, so hopefully you were watching. Katrina, like the hurricane, is asking, will this be visible from North Carolina? Nope, probably not, given that trajectory we just talked about.
Not.
And at this point, Thomas, are you going to jump off comms and get ready to do your thing? He might already be gone.
Sounds like it.
Alrighty then.
Maybe visible from North Carolina. I'd give it a shot, but I would not expect it to get any high up on the horizon at all.
It's always worth a try, right? And here we go.
Absolutely.
This is the T-minus 2-minute vent, right, Ian?
Yep, the T-minus 1 minute 30 vent. So now this is purging everything out of the strong back, pushing some liquid nitrogen out of there. There's going to be some small venting happening here and there for the next few seconds, but then eventually, as we get closer to T0, like I said, they're all going to close out. The venting will stop and the vehicle will pressurize. We're getting a nice zoom-in shot of the big vent.
Michael's just showing off at this point.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, under a minute to go. We got 49 seconds and counting.
Now we should get the final go for launch right about now. And as we lead up to liftoff, at T-minus 3 seconds, you're going to see all 9 Merlin 1D engines light up. If the rocket is happy with how the engines are performing, then it will command a liftoff, and from there, we're going to see you on the other side. And it sounds like we have a go for launch.
Yes, indeed.
Oh, go ahead, Jack.
No, I'm just going to say 20 seconds to go.
Yeah, great. I'm so excited to see this. We are so close to the rocket here. Unbelievable.
Yeah, this is quite a view here. T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. You can see the sound suppression water. 2, 1. That'll be ignition.
Flash.
And liftoff of Falcon 9 B1069, launching SES-18 and 19 to a geostationary orbit from SLC-40, Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. Look at that.
Wow. Gorgeous track of the engine shot there. You can see the individual plumes.
That is
beautiful.
Superb. All right, let's listen in to Falcon 9. Gotta love that audio of those 9 Merlin engines just tearing the air asunder.
Oh, look at that. Vehicle is going supersonic now. Passing through the region of maximum aerodynamic pressure.
Yep, that plume is completely normal that we generally see at this phase of flight.
Oh, beautiful. You can see the engine. Or is that actually the sun lighting that plume up at that point? Either way, beautiful shot there.
You can see the plume expanding as the vehicle ascends into higher and higher altitudes, and the pressure gets lower and lower.
Took the words right out of my mouth, Jack.
Those are my words, not yours.
Oh, man.
But really, what an absolutely killer view.
Oh, beautiful. This is one of my, if not my favorite part of launch, just seeing the plume expand. You can visibly see the fact that the vehicle's getting higher and higher in Earth's atmosphere, and then eventually leaves the atmosphere altogether. Also notice how the plume is getting lighter and lighter as it expands higher up in the atmosphere.
Can we see the engines gimbling from this rocket cam view?
Yes.
That's quite wild.
I love the shots of the blue and the plume as well. Like the cyan.
Yeah, the like the blue and the purple that happens on the edges of the flame.
Yep. Excellent shot there.
All right, we
Coming
have
up in-
stage
There
7.
we go. Main engine cutoff, stage separation, and second stage ignition momentarily.
There we
go.
go.
Second stage ignition.
And stage sep.
This is SpaceX's stream. They're a few seconds behind because we have a live view from the ground.
We love stage sep so much, we did it twice.
Stage separation so nice, they showed it twice.
Chris L in chat says, it broke in half.
Oh no.
Wait, it's supposed to do that.
Oh, look, there is a jellyfish.
We are getting a jellyfish.
Look at that. And you can see the first stage still there and the plume lit up by the sun. Gorgeous tracking shot right there.
All right, now keep your eye on the first stage. We should see it do some little venting sort of reaction control thruster doots, as I like to call them.
Yep. I think that is the industry term, little doots, yeah.
Yeah, hashtag little doots.
What's up, doots? Now fairing separation's coming up. There we are.
Just before we switched to this, I think we could see the fairings in the shot that we had.
Yeah, if we could see that ground shot one more time, there's a good shot. There's a good chance we'll see. Yep, you can see.
Wow.
2 fairings right there.
That is awesome.
Beautiful. And you still see the first stage puffing a little bit there too as it reorients itself.
Puffing or dooting, or both?
Dooting, yeah.
So the second stage is continuing onto orbit, while the first stage is doing its thing and coming back to land on Just Read the Instructions, and the fairings are orienting themselves to enter the atmosphere and land in the ocean, to be recovered by fairing recovering vessel Bob. I can talk.
Just a fun little side thing. Oh, you can see the fairings actually doing RCS puffs too.
Yeah, that's really cool.
My friend in Miami says that their family is able to see the fairings from Miami, and
Wow.
they can see the RCS puffs as well. Unbelievable. So yeah, if you're out between like North Carolina and Miami, go outside right now and look east.
Absolutely. Alex in our back channel says 3 of those 4 dots are reusable. SpaceX dots can be reused up to 10 times. I had to do it. I'm sorry.
Love it.
Wow, look at the ice just coming off the first stage in that shot on the left.
Crazy. Unbelievable to see, to think about. You're looking at vehicles literally in space. Like that part always just breaks my mind. Like that is 120 kilometers up, and you can still see that with your own eyes.
You gotta love how it's the future and we can just get live feeds off of rockets as they shoot into frickin' space. I mean, come on, how cool is that? All right, so the next thing in the milestones here will be first stage entry burn. Is that correct?
Yes, we're going to be coming up in a few moments here on the first stage entry burn. Got some nice shots of clouds right here, but about a minute away, 6 minutes and 36 seconds is when the first stage entry burn is going to happen. And it looks like we might be able to see it, given that we're still tracking the first stage right now. Or is that the second stage?
I suspect, no, this looks like the first stage. I suspect Michael has his auto track dialed in so that we will catch entry burn here. Just a few moments away. And you can see the second stage just powering itself into orbit. Look at the velocity just rapidly increasing there on the bottom right.
That's the power you get from that single Merlin vacuum engine right there. That is, for a second stage, it is very much overpowered. But it's something you really need when your first stage isn't giving you as much performance as it would, say, on an Atlas V or a Delta IV, because you have to account to save some propellant for the re-entry and landing burns. So you need that extra thrust on your second stage to make it to orbit and negate any major gravity losses.
All right, let's see here. Entry burn.
Got a good entry burn there on the first stage.
There we have it.
Yep, looks like we got 3 engines burning.
First 1, then 3, then 1 again. We're still on 3 right now, looks like.
Beautiful. Now this is simultaneously slowing the first stage down so it doesn't experience a very, very harsh re-entry, but also at the same time, the plume from those engines is actually acting as a sort of makeshift heat shield. Now,
Fighting fire with fire.
Literally. And you actually see some plasma building up on the grid fins there as it's going through the peak of reentry. Always one of my favorite things to see.
Yeah, we were talking about the plume expansion being one of our favorite things earlier. The plasma and the grid fins is one of my favorite as well. It just how do I put this? It looks otherworldly or surreal. It just doesn't look like something that human eyes were sort of built or designed to see.
Yep, and you could see in an older, in the other camera for the second stage, you can see the actual plume from the liftoff just over the limb of Earth there. So this is from, there we go. You can see it right there.
That's cool. Yeah, and you can see that the second stage is now in darkness, and you can see like sort of the sunset lighting on the limb of the Earth, which is just really beautiful. All right. Coming up nearly simultaneously will be cutoff of the second stage engine for the first time and landing of the Falcon 9 first stage. You can see the wild difference in the two velocities here in the telemetry on the bottom of the screen.
Now the first stage has begun its landing burn. You can see its velocity is decreasing. The second stage has just cut off its first burn, and stage 1's making its way back to the drone ship.
Come on, 1069, you can do it. Out of the clouds. Look at the blue on the water.
I love that blue.
That's such a beautiful blue.
And touchdown. Another
Dead center.
landing for 1069, the sixth landing specifically.
That is a bullseye if I've ever seen one. What a landing.
Absolutely.
So cool.
A little bit of venting there from the stage as it safes itself after landing. And a nice shot here of one of the two SES satellites on orbit. Look at that plume.
That's gorgeous. So yeah, if you were in the right place, maybe in the Bahamas or something, you probably got quite a show with whatever jellyfish situation happened.
And I've been talking a lot, Jack and I have been talking a lot about what our favorite sites of a launch are. This is actually one of my favorites as well. I don't know why, I just have a kick for ground support equipment, and seeing the transporter erectors thrown back after a launch makes me so happy. I don't know why, maybe I'm weird, but
this is DOS's favorite. This is of course it's all of our favorites because it means the rocket launched, but
yes.
We gotta give credit where credit's due. This is a DOS thing.
Absolutely.
I wonder if we're gonna get Thomas back. I want to hear from Thomas what seeing a Falcon 9 from 2.1 miles away was like.
Yeah, because that must have been pretty intense sound-wise. Excuse me, sound-wise.
What a beautiful launch.
Absolutely. And like Alex noted in our back channel, this has now set the record for the quickest time between two Falcon 9 launches at 4 hours and 12 minutes. Now, of course, those were not from the same pad. One was a Starlink mission earlier today from Vandenberg, and now this was from SLC-40 down at Cape Canaveral.
Love it. Yet another milestone in the advancement of humanity's ability to launch things into space. Just 4 hours and 12 minutes between launches. Obviously from two different coasts, but still, that's quite a treat.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's really kind of weird to me to see these cars driving around in the foreground. Anyways, Phil, thank you for the support there. They said Thomas said things like that. Take a drink. Love you guys. Thanks for everything. Thomas does say things like that a lot.
He does actually, yeah.
Let's see. And Eric Soder, thanks for becoming a PadRat member. And Norman Reitzel, thank you for the support. Proper term for using an engine plume as a shield is aerobraking. I don't know if that's true, but thank you for the support either way. All right.
Using the engine plume for heat shield, that's a supersonic retro propulsion is the
Thank you, yeah. Aerobraking would be like using the atmosphere and the body of the rocket to slow down, right?
Mm-hmm. And also, I'd like to say, we're looking at Fleet Cam here now while Thomas and Michael are packing up, but it was great to see a shot of Falcon 9 launching with another Falcon 9 in port getting processed and ready for its next flight. So very cool to see that.
Alrighty. Well, I think with that, we should call it a stream. They're just taking a quick look at at Launch Complex 39A. The transport director's sleeping. Don't wake it up.
Always great to see some nice live shots of that. And Jack, if we want to see some more live shots of 39A and the VAB, where can we go to see those?
You just said VAB. I have to yell at you because you said VAB, because everyone yells at me when I say VAB. So But yes, if you want to see more VAB or 39A or anything else in the Space Coast, you can check out Space Coast Live, which is our 24/7 live stream of all things Space Coast, Florida. But with that, I think we will wrap it up. Ian,
Very
thank
quick,
you
Jack.
for... Oh, go for it.
Because we're looking at 39A. Just a little teaser for everyone. 39A is being prepped right now for Falcon Heavy for Viasat 3. So we're doing some modifications to the transporter erector there. And if you want to watch them, get it ready for Falcon Heavy. Head over to Space Coast Live. But yeah, go ahead, Jack. Sorry.
That is going to be what, the third Falcon Heavy this year?
Yeah, this is going to be the year of Falcon Heavy if things work out.
There will be what? There'll be 2 more for a total of 5 potentially?
I think there's at least 2 more for this year. I'm not sure after the Echo Star mission if there's any
Sorry, second Falcon Heavy this year. I'm being corrected in the back channel.
Oh yeah, 44 was last year. Anyway.
But yeah, thank you everybody for watching. Ian, thanks for joining us on commentary.
Always a pleasure. Glad to be here, if I could speak.
You can speak. You did great. You speak great.
Thanks, Jack.
And of course, thanks to Thomas out in the field. He's not on comms, but he was out there. And Michael also out there operating auto track. I do believe we had Stephen Marr out in the field as well, so hopefully we have some cool imagery from all 3 of them. Be sure to check out their Twitters. And thank you, of course, to Kevin for operating the stream in the background. Thank you, Kevin, for everything that you do for NASA Spaceflight. Really appreciate it. But with that, of course, I am Jack with NSF, and you have watched another NSF live stream. Now it's over, but you can't stay here, but you don't have to go home. Why don't you head on over to Space Coast Live and hang out? But with that, we will leave you nerds until next time.
See ya.
Propulsion continues to be nominal.
Our UPA chamber pressure looks good.
Doubling up. Roger roll with Atlantis.
Water towers, fly! Yes!
Tango Delta nominal.
Flight outside SE off. Bring in SE off.
Yikes. You bet. Concur. We don't need any more of these.